and welcome back to Talking Sports. I'm your host, Andrew. This is my co-host.
Miles Shield, virtual. How you guys doing?
Yeah, we're back doing a virtual episode. Miles is at home, unfortunately, with some stuff going on. He's been really busy recently, so that's why we haven't been able to be together. But we're back together in a matter of speaking, I guess. So what we got for today is just a little news segment to get us started off with, and then we got a little MLB Playoff Wild Card Series review, and then we'll get to recapping Week 4 of the NFL. So starting off with the news segment, earlier today it was announced that Giannis Antetokounmpo, the superstar power forward for the Milwaukee Bucks, is back and with the team. He had a bit of a COVID episode, I believe, over the last couple of days. He missed media day, so he is back with the team, and he'll be ready to play tomorrow night, possibly in the first preseason game for the Milwaukee Bucks. Sticking with the NBA, Jonathan Kuminga has signed a new 2-year extension with the Golden State Warriors worth $46.8 million, I should say, ending his long kind of holdout in free agency with the Warriors. Miles, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think it was such a interesting and fun story in the beginning, and the way it ended is kind of boring. And I'm kind of surprised they did get a deal done, but congrats to Jonathan Kuminga, and we'll see what he can do this season.
Yeah, definitely. And this is also a bit of a lose for the Warriors because now I believe this kind of limits his trade value a little bit with this new deal, giving that it's a bit more of a raise from his last contract. And he will be an unrestricted free agent, I believe, in the 26-27 off season or after the 26-27 season, I believe. As well, in the NBA, Quentin Grimes signed a new $8.7 million deal with the 76ers instead of holding out for his qualifying offer as well. And then in the MLB side of things, as we get into the playoffs, Brian Wu, the all-star starting pitcher for the Seattle Mariners, was left off the ALDS roster with a shoulder, I believe, with a some kind of injury. I believe it's in his chest, I believe. Bo Bichette also left off the Toronto Blue Jays ALDS roster with a knee injury, or knee or hand injury. Sorry, I don't have all the facts in front of me, guys. And Brandon Woodruff, the former All-Star for the Milwaukee Brewers, was also left off the ALDS roster as he continues to recover from a shoulder injury. But as shown by the Brewers in Game 1 against the Cubs yesterday, which I attended, by the way, the Brewers did really not need Brandon Woodruff. So that's some good news there. And then Jackson Chourio in that same game also went down with a hamstring injury, the same hamstring he injured about a month ago. And he spent a month on the IL with. So hopefully he gets better soon, but some of the signs aren't great to say the least. Miles, any closing thoughts on the news segment here?
No, it sounds good.
All right. Moving on, we're going to stick with the MLB and the AL and NL Wild Card Series. Again, these are best out of 3 series. So let's start off with the Cleveland Guardians versus the Detroit Tigers. Cleveland came into this series just beating Detroit in the last day of the regular season, as Detroit had a 14-game lead on the division but choked it away. And Cleveland got out to a hot start, winning Game 1, but lost Games 2 and 3, allowing the Tigers to move on to take on the Mariners. And the Tigers actually won a thrilling Game 1 of the ALDS in Seattle last night that went into extra innings. Miles, any thoughts on that?
That was just good baseball. It was fun to watch, and it's really been a good season.
All right. Yeah, Cleveland, even though they traded away a lot of their guys like Shane Bieber to the Blue Jays, they were still able to make the playoffs and make a late charge. It's just weird how Cleveland can do that sometimes. Moving on to the next series, the other AL wildcard series between two of the biggest rivals in all of sports, the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. So the Red Sox got out early, kind of similar to the Guardians. The Red Sox got out to an early series lead, winning Game 1. Even though the Yankees in the bottom of the ninth inning had bases loaded, but Aroldis Chapman was able to close it out. And from then on, the Yankees, off the backs of dominant pitching performances from Carlos Rodon and Cam Schlittner. I think it's Schlittner, right? I'm saying that right, I hope. But off the backs of 2 really good pitching performances, the Yankees were able to come back and win the series 2-1 as well. Miles, any thoughts on that?
I loved the pitching that we saw, especially from Cam Schlittner, he was absolute dominance. And again, it's just great baseball. We are getting a lot of good entertainment, and having the Brewers be such a good team, I'm loving everything I'm seeing.
I agree. The one thing I would request is that the wild card series maybe moved up from 3 to 5 series, kind of similar to the division series. Make these series a little bit longer, give it more of a sample size. But we kind of asked for that when it was the single game wild card series. But I think there's still room for more baseball, more playoff baseball. I hope you agree with that. Maybe you do or not.
Yeah, I agree with it. I think eventually it will be. I mean, look at the NBA, for example. They stretch those playoffs out, and it's also a moneymaker. They get more money, and I think that yes, maybe 5 games could be good, but for wild cards, I think 3 games is not awful, just because it is the wild card.
All right. Moving on though to the NL side of things, we have our favorite Chicago Cubs, our favorite division rival, taking on the San Diego Padres. The Cubs were the 5 seed against the Padres, the 4 seed. So this was going to be a very interesting series to say the least. Padres got out to an early lead in the series, kind of like all of these other ones, all these other wild card series. Took a 1-0 lead early, kind of shut down the Cubs' offense in Game 1, but the Cubs were able to come back in games 2 and 3 to take the series and moved on to take the Brewers, where they got their butts whipped yesterday in Game 1. I'll ramble on the Game 1, which I attended in a different time, but that was a great game for the Brewers. So, Miles, any thoughts on the Cubs versus Padres series?
Yeah, I actually am kind of happy the Cubs won, because I feel that the Brewers can 100% beat the Cubs, where the Padres have some of the things that the Brewers struggle against, which is they have power and they're consistently good, right? Where the Cubs are more of a scrappy team. Really, Craig Counsell brought the Brewer mentality to Chicago, and it's pretty much us against us. And
Huh.
I
Yeah.
think talent wise, the Brewers are more talented than the Cubs, and we have more depth. And I can't wait to talk about the Brewer game.
Yeah, I agree. I do also think though that the Cubs do have a lot of power with PCA, Michael Busch, Seiya Suzuki. I could go on and on about how many power hitters they have in their lineup, but I do agree that the Brewers probably have more depth than the Cubs. And finally, the final wild card series, we have the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers, the 3 seed, versus the 6 seed Cincinnati Reds. And a reminder, if you listen to my last episode that I talked about on this show, the Reds were able to squeak into the playoffs, even though they lost the final game of the season. But the Mets also lost their final game of the year too, and that allowed the Reds to squeak in. But safe to say, the Reds aren't quite there yet. The Reds got swept 2-0 in the series to the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Dodgers, it seemed like they barely had to lift a finger to beat the Reds, because the Reds pitching and Reds offense could not keep up to the Los Angeles Dodgers, the defending champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Miles, any thoughts here?
I'm scared. I'm I'm honestly scared to play the Dodgers, and we have to beat the Dodgers. The Brewers have to beat the Dodgers to get into the World Series, which is going to be terrifying. And the Dodgers are just such a good team and have so much money that it's a David versus Goliath.
I agree. But I will say this: championships are not won on paper; they are won on the field. And I think right now the Brewers have more depth than the Los Angeles Dodgers do, because the Dodgers, they have a lot of injuries. Because Will Smith didn't even play in Game 1 of the division series last night. Like, he came in off the bench, but Ben Rordvit, local Wisconsin kid, had to start that game at catcher. So if that's any sign, the Brewers, I think, have more depth than the Los Angeles Dodgers. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as we go forward throughout the playoffs. But that is the little news segment and the wild card recap for the MLB playoffs. We'll have a bit more of a recap for the entire AL and NL division series coming up soon. I might honestly just release a couple episodes recapping like a couple games here and there throughout the week. But But now let's move on to the final segment of today's episodes, talking about Week 4 of the NFL. So how it's going to work is I'm going to read off all the games and the scores, and Miles, if he has any stats to share, because he's the stat guy here, I hope, he's going to jump in and cut me off and give the stats for us real quick. So you good with that, Miles? Or
Yep, I'm ready.
all right, let's go. Starting off with the first game, we have the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. The Seahawks would end up pulling out the victory 23-20 in Arizona. Do you have any stats for that? Or?
Yes, this game was honestly a little disappointing for how close it was. Kyler Murray threw a ton of passes. He was 27 for 41. He was 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he threw 2 interceptions. And I was very disappointed in what I saw from Kyler Murray. And to me, Kyler Murray's a Bryce Young. Kyler Murray, Bryce Young, their height, their maybe inconsistency with their plays, it's very similar. 23-20 ends up being the score. Sam Darnold is continuing to show what he had last year, showing that last year was not a fluke. And I like what I'm seeing from Sam Darnold.
Yeah, me too. I do like what the Seahawks are kind of cooking over there. Maybe the Vikings and Kevin O'Connor are kind of regretting bringing in J.J. McCarthy, letting McCarthy start and not retaining Sam Darnold. Next game, we have Aaron Rodgers-led Steelers versus the Minnesota Vikings. Speaking of the Vikings with J.J. McCarthy, the Steelers I believe this was actually in Ireland, actually, the Ireland game. The Steelers would end up winning 24-21 for the first international game of the season. Any thoughts?
Yeah, this was a great game from the Steelers, and specifically DK Metcalf and Kenneth Gainwell. DK Metcalf, who is on my fantasy team, by the way, he scored a ton of fantasy points. DK Metcalf had only 5 receptions for 126 yards and a touchdown. Kenneth Gainwell had 19 carries, 99 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Right, this was a very good performance from that Steelers offense. And going to the Vikings side of it, Carson Wentz, in his debut with the Vikings, he threw a ton of passes. He completed 30 of 46 attempts. He had 350 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the thing that killed him were the 2 interceptions.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Justin Jefferson also had 126 yards. Same as DK Metcalf, except for the difference in this game was DK Metcalf's touchdown.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I believe, wasn't Kenneth Gainwell filling in for Jalen Warren this game?
That is correct.
Okay. I also kind of forgot that Wentz was starting and not McCarthy. I probably forgot that because the Vikings still lost anyway. So, there's that for you guys. The Steelers' defense also has been pretty good, locking down their opponents. Next game, we have the Atlanta Falcons versus Washington Commanders. And mind you, the Atlanta Falcons last week got shut out by the Carolina Panthers, while the Commanders, led by Marcus Mariota, beat the Las Vegas Raiders once again. But either way, the Falcons would end up winning this game 34-27, defeating Marcus Mariota and the Commanders. Miles?
Yeah, this was a crazy game, and I really did not know what to think about this because the Falcons have been so inconsistent with their wins and losses, right? When you get destroyed by the Carolina Panthers, I don't even know what to say. I do like the Carolina Panthers, and I had a bold prediction saying they'll make the playoffs. That's not looking too hot now, but they played great against the Falcons. And then the next game, the Falcons can just turn it around. So this has been crazy for me. And Michael Penix Jr., honestly, he has looked very good. He completed 20 of 26 attempts for 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. I was very happy with what I've been seeing out of Michael Penix Jr., and he's really stepped in to that Falcons franchise quarterback role. Kirk Cousins should be a little worried at where his career will go after this. Drake London had a huge game, 8 receptions, 110 yards, and a touchdown. The Falcons' offense was cooking with steam here, and it was even more of a blowout in the beginning of the game, but Marcus Mariota did come in. He did toss 2 touchdowns and only 1 interception. So it was not a terrible game for Marky Mark. I saw that, I think it was pretty clear. Like, Marcus Mariota you could tell he was supposed to be a franchise quarterback, and it didn't work. And that's what I saw in that game. And the Commanders just come up short, and they better hope Jane Daniels comes back soon.
Yeah, definitely. I think Jane Daniels is actually playing this week, or today. Today, I guess they're playing today. Uh, I think in America's Game of the Week, I'm pretty sure. So Jane Daniels is back. He's on my fantasy team, so I probably should know. But yeah, the Commanders being able to score 27 points is pretty impressive for Mariota. It's just their defense gave it up. Moving on, though, this is Miles' game. Miles, you're going to really enjoy this one. We have the Los Angeles Chargers versus the New York Giants, led by Jackson Dart. The Chargers would end up losing 18-21 in New York. Miles, what you got for me?
This is what I expected. Me and Andrew are in a pick'em league, so we pick who we think's gonna win, and I picked the Giants. This is what I expected in Jackson Dart's debut. He came out firing on all cylinders. He only had 20 attempts, but he completed 13 of those. He tossed 111 yards and a passing touchdown. He also had a rushing touchdown in there. Cam Scattaboo really showed that he is the number one running back in New York, which is also something I expected to see later in this season. Now, the big problem was Malik Neighbors. That is the big storyline with that, and him tearing his ACL and being done for the season.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
devastating for Jackson Dart because Dart was finally getting a chance to start, right? Russell Wilson has been using Malik Neighbors, and Malik Neighbors was one of the top receivers in the league this year because Russell Wilson just kept feeding him the ball. Now Jackson Dart has to find out who his receivers are and who he can trust. And not having Darren Waller, who just scored his third touchdown today, uh, he does not have Darren Waller. He has guys like Darius Slayton, Wandale Robinson, guys who are inconsistent like that. He does have that little dump off pass to Cam Scattaboo, which I love, but I think I'm a little bit nervous for the Giants' future, and not because of Jackson Dart, because of no solid receivers.
I agree. But Jackson Dart, all the signs that he's shown were very impressive to say the least. Moving on, though, the only shutout of the week, we have the Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans. Safe to say, Texans would win 26-0 in Houston. Any thoughts, Miles?
Yeah, this was a little bit of a disappointing game for the Titans. And Titans are 0-4 right now. Cam Ward has looked like maybe he has some potential. He's just on such a terrible Titans team. He only completed 10 passes. 10 passes, 26 attempts, so he didn't get to pass the ball much. He only had 108 yards, and he threw a interception, not a touchdown, sorry. And this was a game where CJ Stroud only looks good against bad teams. And that's also a question mark. But the biggest question mark is the Titans. And I'm a little bit nervous for what the future holds in this team because I don't see them getting better anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Brian Callahan actually was taken off play calling duties for the Titans, and they handed it to the offensive coordinator. But I don't know if it made a difference for the Titans in this case. I sure
Yeah.
didn't look like it, at least.
Yeah. Well, did you, if you were watching the game or whatever, you could hear the Fire Callahan chants that were ringing through the Titans stadium.
Oh, wow.
And that already shows if your fans aren't happy with what's going on, then you need to move in a different direction. So there's going to be a lot of question marks with the Titans coming up this season.
Definitely. And when Brian Callahan got hired, I was looking at it like, wait, who is this guy? Wait, he was the OC for the Bengals? Like, okay, but he's not play calling. So definitely a very questionable hire. Next game is the Philadelphia Eagles, reigning Super Bowl champs, taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa. The Eagles would pull off a incredible victory, 31-25 over the Buccaneers. I believe this was also where Jordan Davis blocked a potential game-winning field goal by the Buccaneers and returned it all the way for a touchdown. That was an incredible sight. Miles, what do you got?
I was really disappointed when that happened. I love Baker Mayfield and how clutch he is. I mean, He passed for he completed 22 of 40 attempts, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, and only an interception. And this Eagles team should not be undefeated. I'm just going to say it right there. They have
Ooh.
not looked good. They have not. No, none of the receivers. Saquon has been a little bit disappointing, and I'm just saying it now. The Eagles are not as good as they were last year, and I don't think they'll be undefeated for very much longer. But this was a disappointing game, and blocked field goals have been what this season is all about. I feel like we've had like 20 so far that
Oh
have
yeah, definitely.
decided the game, and this one was really big because it got returned.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't know. Is the Eagles? Is that your take by about the Eagles? Is that your chilled spicy situation of the week? Is that
We'll,
it?
we'll say that the Eagles do not deserve to be undefeated.
Okay. We don't have the music for you guys this week. Limited resources and limited supplies here. But that is your chilled spicy situation of the week. The Eagles do not deserve to be undefeated heading into week 5. The next game, Miles, you're not gonna like this one. We have the Carolina Panthers versus the New England Patriots in New England. The Patriots would end up winning 42-13, and I picked the Panthers to win this game after they shut out the Falcons. So that was a wrong pick. But Miles, what do you got?
Yeah, I picked the Panthers too. This was a shocker to say the least. The fact that they can shut out the Falcons but can't shut out the Patriots, who honestly have less firepower than the Falcons do. Right? The Falcons have Drake London, they have Kyle Pitts, they have Bijan Robinson. The the uh, the Patriots have Stephon Diggs. Like the Patriots have a non-existent rushing game. Trayvon Henderson hasn't done anything since preseason, and their starting running back Ramondre Stevenson only had 9 carries for 38 yards. Right? Drake May only attempted 17 passes, and he still tossed 203 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like this was a disappointing game for this Carolina team, and their inconsistency has very much shown.
Yeah, I would agree, and I guess inconsistency is the name of the game for the NFC South. And some people were drawing comparisons from to Drake May to Tom Brady, or like starting out Tom Brady. I would say I'm certainly seeing it that way. That Drake May could be a potential, maybe not quite to the level of Tom Brady, but a potential like he is the next guy up for the Patriots, in my opinion. Next game, we have the New Orleans Saints versus the Buffalo Bills. The Saints would end up losing 19-31 in Buffalo. Miles, what do you got?
This was a all around boring game. It's what we expected, but let me just tell you, Spencer Rattler is 0-10 in his first 10 games. He has not won a game yet, so you gotta question what's going on in New Orleans, especially post Drew Brees era. This team has gone down so much, and I will say this though: Spencer Rattler has not looked terrible. He's again possibly like Cam Ward, a good or decent quarterback on a terrible, terrible team.
Yeah, I agree. I think that maybe Spencer Rattler isn't maybe a Cam Ward type prospect, but I think that Spencer Rattler, I could maybe draw a comparison to like a younger, like Andy Dalton type of player, maybe a little bit
Yeah,
more dynamically on the run side of things. But that's what I think of Spencer Rattler. And then the Bills with Josh Allen, just unstoppable, and James Cook as well.
yeah,
Next game, we got the Cleveland Browns versus the Detroit Lions. Sorry, back-to-back stinker games, but the Lions would end up winning 34-10. Packers, why couldn't we do
yeah,
this?
yeah. This was disappointing as a Packers fan to watch. One stat that is interesting: the person who led the Browns in receiving yards was Isaiah Bond, who, gosh, I do call this. I do call the Cleveland Browns the courthouse, the Cleveland courthouse, because all they have is people who have gone to court, like Judkins, like Bond, like Deshaun Watson. But anyways, Joe Flacco, this is the game that got him benched for Dylan Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're seeing, and I watched the Browns game this morning. Dylan Gabriel looked very good, and I did not expect that. And Joe Flacco, this may be the last season of his career, and he may be handing the reins off to Dylan Gabriel. And let's not even talk about Shador right now.
Yeah, I guess. Anything about the Lions?
Nothing about the Lions. It's really what we expect. Jahmyr Gibbs, big game. Jared Goff, big game. And it's been Jahmyr Gibbs has really taken over the run game. Sorry, David Montgomery. It's not that 1-2 punch anymore. It really is just Jahmyr.
Yeah, I guess it is really. Next up, this is a pretty interesting game. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the San Francisco 49ers, led by Mac Jones. The Jaguars would end up winning 26-21 in Santa Clara. How about that? I believe the Jaguars I think they're behind the Colts, but the Jaguars have looked pretty good this season, I would say so far.
Yeah, well, my stat thing says Brock Purdy, so I don't know.
I thought that I thought that Mac Jones was still in, but I guess not.
I thought Mac Jones was in too. But anyways, Mac Jones, let's talk about him. He has been phenomenal with the Niners. Maybe not in this game, but so far, I know we're kind of spoiling it, but Mac Jones has looked so good. And I would love in the next episode to talk about, is there a problem in San Francisco, right? Mac Jones is playing good football. Brock Purdy, he's playing about the same football as Mac Jones. So I think there could be some drama brewing in San Francisco.
Yeah, definitely. And Mac Jones was the quarterback that Kyle Shanahan wanted back in 2021, but the 49ers overruled him and they went with Trey Lance instead.
Right.
But Trevor Lawrence,
wouldn't that be something different?
Yeah, just imagine that. But Trevor Lawrence has also looked good so far this season. But Brian Thomas Jr., I don't think really has looked good this season at all.
Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. has been very disappointing. But you know who hasn't? Travis Etienne.
Ooh.
He has been so good. And I actually have him on my fantasy team, and he has been just phenomenal, consistently good. And Liam Cohen is the perfect coach for him. And I've loved what to see. Liam Cohen was Bucky Irving's OC, so you know he's a good run game coach.
Definitely. Also, Travis Hunter's been kind of disappointing. Like, I drafted Travis Hunter over DK Metcalf. Yeah, yeah, that was definitely not very good. But I had to drop Travis Hunter. So Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. have not been very impressive, to say the least. Moving on, though, we have the Indianapolis Colts versus the Los Angeles Rams in Los Angeles. The Rams would end up winning 27-20, breaking the Colts' undefeated streak to start off the season. Miles, any thoughts?
I was really sad because I'm not a Colts fan, right? And I really was not a Daniel Jones fan until now. Daniel Jones, he shocked me. I love a good comeback story. I love to see guys revive their careers. And really, it's both the Colts and Daniel Jones getting revived. And I keep forgetting that Anthony Richardson's even in the NFL anymore because Daniel Jones has been so good. He's actually playing really good right now as the Colts are crushing the Raiders right now. And Daniel Jones, yes, he did throw 2 interceptions. He only threw a touchdown. He did look a little bit like his old self. But I was very happy with what I saw from this. And the Rams they just out-touchdowned them. And I don't think it was a matter of play. I think Daniel Jones did everything he possibly could. And Daniel Jones is a very exciting player to watch, which you tell me that last year, I would not have believed you.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Moving on, we have our favorite division rival, crosstown rival, the Chicago Bears versus the Las Vegas Raiders in Vegas. Raiders, you were so close, guys. But the Bears would end up winning 25-24 in Las Vegas. Miles, any thoughts?
This game should have 100% gone to the Raiders. I was very disappointed when I saw, I believe it was a blocked field goal that would have won them the game. Ashton Genty balled out, 21 carries, 138 yards, and a touchdown. Geno Smith threw 3 interceptions. Geno Smith has been progressively getting worse each week, and that's very disappointing to see. The interceptions have plagued his season so far.
Definitely. Now we move on. We have only 4 more games left here in week 4. We have the Baltimore Ravens versus the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm scared now after seeing the score of this game. We have the Chiefs 37, the Ravens 20 in Arrowhead. Miles, are you scared?
Well, this was interesting. Patrick Mahomes completed 25 of 37 attempts for 270 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yep.
Now, let me tell you, when I say the rushing game in Kansas City is non-existent, I mean it.
Oh yeah.
Patrick Mahomes has led the team almost every week, if not every week. Well, Xavier Worthy comes back. He has 2 carries for 38 yards. That's their leading rusher.
Oh my lord.
It is non-existent. If Kansas City could get a run game, it would be better. Now, the Ravens are 1-3. I don't know what to think about that. And now, Lamar Jackson got hurt. Cooper rushes in. Last time I checked, the Ravens were getting beat. And we could see the Ravens fall to 1-4, which could put the playoffs almost out of reach if they get any more losses, unless they have a perfect season from now on, which I don't think they will. So there's going to be some question marks surrounding the Ravens.
Yeah, 100%. Moving on now to possibly one of the weirdest games of the week, and kind of depressing for us Packers fans. We have Sunday Night Football, the Packers versus the Cowboys, and we had our first tie of the season, 40-40 in Dallas. Yeah, Miles, go ahead. I'm going to speak after you, but go ahead.
Well, this could not have been any more disappointing. It was Micah's return to Jerryland, to Jerry World. Jerry Jones watching. This was the moment to have the destroying game, and it didn't happen. It was terrible. And honestly, the defense just couldn't get there. And our defense got exposed for what it is. When our pass rush can't get to the quarterback, then our corners are terrible. We probably have one of the worst pass defenses in the league because of our DBs. And not even DBs, because of our corners. That was something that the Packers did not touch on in the offseason. Even though they brought in Nate Hobbs, they really did not touch on cornerbacks in the offseason, and they did not get any in the draft. And it showed. I was very angry with what I saw because it's not like it's a new problem. It's a problem we knew was going to happen, and we didn't do anything about it. It was one of the only things I hated in Goody's offseason, that we did not touch the corners. And even though Jordan Love balled out, completing 31 of 43 attempts for 337 yards and 3 touchdowns, Josh Jacobs had 22 carries, 86 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and led the team in receiving yards. And Micah Parsons saved what would have been the game-winning touchdown if Dak Prescott would have ran into the end zone. Micah Parsons got the sack. It was a disappointing game. And Micah, thank you for saving us. And we need Matthew Golden or someone on that offensive receiving core to step up, and someone on that defensive cornerback core to step up.
Yeah, definitely. This is just very frustrating for me, is because, again, Jordan Love did very, very well, but the defense could not pretty much stop a pass to any extent. And this is the same. This kind of looked like the Packers last year. The offense looked really good. It's just the defense couldn't do anything to stop them. And the penalties as well, those were not very good either for the Packers. But thankfully with this bye week, hopefully our O-line can get healthy again. Hopefully it'll be a week to regroup as we head into week 6 now with 2-1-1. I really, honestly, at this point, I don't know what to think. That game was just so weird. But now we move on to the final 2 games on Monday Night Football. We have the Jets versus Dolphins. Miles, you're not going to like this one. The Jets versus Dolphins. Jets 21, Dolphins 27 in Miami. Miles, what do you have here?
Well, first of all, R.I.P. Tyreek Hill.
Oh, yeah, for
because
sure.
that injury looked so terrible.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if he'll ever run again because he tore everything. He broke everything. It was so disgusting. His knee was bent. His whole leg was bent the wrong way,
Oh yeah.
and it's just terrible for the game of football to see that, especially a guy who's done so much for the game and
Mhm.
how phenomenal his play has been. We won't even talk about off the field, but on the field, he has been so good. And that was so disappointing to see his season end like that. But
Yeah,
Tua
definitely.
actually started to stop throwing interceptions. He had 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Justin Fields, who has come back, first game back, led the team in rushing yards with 7 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown.
Oh wow.
He has consistently gotten rushing touchdowns and rushing yards. So the Jets, I would not blame the Jets being 0-4 on Justin Fields because he has played good football. They just don't have the team to win.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Honestly, I kind of compare them to the Packers last year. Uh, they have a good quarterback. They have a lot of good things. It's just don't have all the pieces necessary. Now we move on to the final game. Probably should have led with this game before the Dolphins. But we got the Bengals versus the Broncos. Safe to say, Bo Nix kind of balled out a little bit. Broncos 28, Bengals to 3. Yeah, Miles, what do you have, if any?
Well, yeah, Bo Nix did. He completed 29 of 42 attempts for 326 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. J.K. Dobbins also got some yardage with 16 carries and 101 yards. Love J.K. Dobbins. Love to see that. Now, the Bengals. Whew, we already knew their defense is bad. But when their offense can't work, they're one of the worst teams in the league. Jake Browning, 14 of 25 attempts for 125 yards. That was it. T. Higgins led the team in receiving yards with 3 receptions for 32 yards. It was a brutal game. And to me, if I'm the Bengals, I'm calling up a ton of teams. I'm calling up the Niners to talk about Mac Jones. I'm calling up the Giants to talk about Russell Wilson. I need somebody because Jake Browning is not the answer, and I still want to win.
Yeah, definitely. And I thought Jake Browning was probably one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league, but clearly not. That's clearly not the way it is right now. But that's all we got. Those are all the games. Miles, any other closing thoughts, like on any of the games, like what you saw from the games overall?
No, I'm just loving the NFL being back, and it's been great.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I agree. Sucks that the Packers aren't playing this week because I was hoping that we could get some redemption after last week, but we'll have to wait one more week, and you guys are gonna have to wait one more week for the next recap, week 5. Hope you guys are staying tuned for that. But that's gonna do it for us today. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for more episodes. Go check out all of our other episodes on any of our podcast platforms. But that's gonna do it for me, Andrew Volkman, and my
And
co-host.
me, Miles Show.
And we'll see you in the next episode, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.